Namaskar. Today in Yog Vashisht, we will be taking up those aspects which are very practical in nature. And also, we would see what the four gatekeepers to liberation, to freedom are, and how they can help us. So first he talks about tendencies. He says, mind has many latent tendencies. One's actions are strictly as per the tendencies and they can't be otherwise. Amply clear? The tendencies dictate what the actions will be, and these tendencies are defined by the internal environment which is there in the Antakarna. We have seen many times earlier. Now these tendencies are of two types. They are pure and impure ones. That is to say, the ones that take you closer to your goal of liberation are pure, other ones are impure. Now he says that one is free to choose which of the two tendencies we want. And by doing so, the other tendencies, because of its disuse, will go into latency. And once other tendency is latent, the impure one is latent, then even this pure tendency will fall down. Now, how this translates into our daily experience? There's a system of repeating Om mantra once, say we want to sleep, or we want to meditate on the Om mantra. So we keep repeating Om, 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 and after some time we will find, we'll become aware that there is no thought which is going on in the mind, and also this Om repetition has also stopped. This is because you use a thought to take out another thought, and then both the thoughts are thrown away. That is to say, we are trying to divert the mind to the pure tendencies, and we are using one of the tendencies to drive the mind away from the other, and thereafter even the other goes away, and a person finds that both the tendencies are in state of latency, and that's about all. He's a free man. There's one more example. I was, in my complete career, I was not aligned to any group. There had been so many groups at so many places, wherever I went. Never aligned. Because aligning to a group has its own perils, and it gets you into an environment, internal environment, which takes you away from freedom or liberation. And after some time, one realizes that one doesn't need that environment or to be part of any of the groups to functionally be effective. This is what I had experienced myself, remaining away from all the groups that took me away from my path of freedom. This is how I had done, and it is practical. Though, of course, nobody would want to be with you, that's okay. That's just a fallout. And it's better not to have such a company. And one would not need such a company at all. This is how I've experienced. Then he talks of dispassion. Dispassion is the highest form of dispassion is born out of pure discrimination. That is Vivek Buddhi. And it is superior to the one born out of circumstances or utter disgust. Now, this is again something to be understood. We often get a false idea of doing some righteous act, like some austerity or some giving out some alms to the poor or helping somebody with something. Also, we sometimes get an idea that we are doing so many meditations and other good actions, but they are actually not born out of pure selection. It is you cannot do otherwise, so perforce you are doing this. You can't run away, so you are helping. That is what it means. A conscious choice of helping despite an option of not doing so. That would mean an act born out of pure discrimination and a choice. Then we come to the four gatekeepers. The four gatekeepers are the ones at the entrance to the realm of freedom or the moksha. They are self-control, spirit of inquiry, contentment, and good company. So, we talk of self-control or the conquest of mind. This self-control is the control of mind on the mind. That is to say, when the mind is in a restful state, one sees pleasure and pain chase and cancel each other. That is to say, when there is a pleasure, mind seeks pleasure, it results in pain. So, the pleasure and pain, they would be counteracting and chasing each other and finishing them. It will, such a mind which is in control, self-control, would not be either seeking pleasure or pain. Yes, there are people who seek pain also, and that is what gives them pleasure. It's both ways. Yeah, here it comes. When the mind is in peace, it doesn't long for anything, nor does it reject anything. It is said to be in a state of self-control. And it is the best remedy for all physical and mental ills. And he who is living like this, amongst all remains unaffected. This is just what we are speaking about. One who doesn't feel elated or hates is one in self-control. That is, the mind is in control of itself. This is about self-control. Then we have inquiry. Inquiry primarily either on who am I, my own origin, or the origin and the existence of this world itself. Though we would be covering both these in great detail subsequently in later sessions, but suffice it to say for this time that the continuity of inquiry and deep study of scriptures is necessary. This is how inquiring becomes remedy for a long-term, long-lasting illness known as samsara. Now it dispels all the ghosts created by the ignorant mind and realizes the falsity of sense pleasures and their objects. Now the ghost of the mind, biggest ghost of the mind is ignorance. And ignorance is nothing but I. I, that is conceived after the birth of this body in this world. That I speak of. The doer, or the one who sees, the talker, the seer, the experiencer. This I. And when I rises, you rises. When I and you rise, problems rise, the world rise. And rest all is a history. Now, one who has done inquiry would neither reject anything nor seek anything. He is free from delusion and attachment. That is to say, he sees everything as it is. Everything, every person, every relationship. By relationship, I mean relationship with everything. People, animals, living, non-living, everything. The relationship. So he sees everything as it is, and therefore there is just no possibility of any attachment with anything. And one is neither inactive nor is totally drowned in an action. This is different from concentrating in some action. It just means to say that one doesn't get submerged or drowned and not available for other actions. He lives and functions in this world, and at the end of life span, he leaves the confines of the body and says, come on, let's go. He goes very happily along with the Lord of Death and goes wherever. It's like a state of lion. Wherever a lion will go, that will become his area, his own domain. And the day he wishes to walk away, he walks away and reaches somewhere else. Then that becomes his for the time that he's staying there. This is how things are. So this is as far as the inquiry is concerned. Earlier we had spoken about self-control, control of the mind on itself. The third gatekeeper is contentment. Now, contentment means renouncing all cravings for what is not sought unsought, rather, not obtained unsought. That is to say, those things for which there has to be a lot of efforts are not to be pursued. And all cravings for them have to be stopped. And be satisfied with what comes unsought. Because as it is, the nature of everything is transient. If we are not, if we are satisfied with what is coming unsought, then we are not attaching ourselves to one particular idea, ideology, thought, person, place, or thing. And that is how we are able to retain our mobility and freedom. Now, one who has tasted the pleasure of the nectar of contentment doesn't relish the craving for any sense pleasure. A contented man who possesses nothing owns the world. This is what it is, what we spoke about the lion. The whole jungle is his. There is no specific territory. He is not territorial. Wherever he goes is his place. Then comes the last gatekeeper is satsang. Satsang is the company of wise and holy and enlightened. It enlarges one's sphere of intelligence, destroys ignorance and psychological distress. It alone is a light to the path of life. One doesn't need any external light to see where one has to walk, where one has to tread. Everything happens automatically. You don't need any acquaintance, or you don't need to go through anybody for anything. There will always be a self-guiding light. Even if you are dropped in the middle of the desert, where nothing is known to you, all people are unknown, all situations are new, yet it is due to this light that you would be able to carry on with your affairs on a daily basis, despite all the resistances. It has been my own experience for so many years. It is superior to all forms of religious practices like charity, austerity, pilgrimage, and performing any of the religious rites. I'm in agreement to what he says, because this is the easiest and there is nothing to be done. Therefore, it is superior. One should adore and serve holy men who have realized the truth. So this is as far as satsangs are concerned. So we have the four gatekeepers of self-control, inquiry, contentment, and satsang. It need not be that we go in for any of these in a particular order. No. Or altogether. No. It can be any of these, and when any of these becomes absorbed in our own tendencies, our own nature, others will follow. This is what it is. I have never ever conducted any self inquiry. So this is how I see it. Any of these would be a good thing to start off and continue. Thank you.